All right, I'd like to go ahead and call this TDA meeting to order. I'd like to welcome everyone and thank you for being together at this unusual time. We're observing social distancing, and that's why we're in this room today. We're spread out. We're not in our normal meeting room, and that's so that we can accommodate our social distancing requirements. We're also limiting the number of persons in the room, so you'll see a lot of shuffling of staff, speakers, partners, and the public. We've invited persons who want to speak at our public hearing to be in meetings room A and B, and staff will help escort them in when the hearing actually begins. Further, our traditional partners who sit at the table with us are in meeting rooms A and B, and they will come in as appropriate. Some speakers today will be with us through technology, and we're all actually learning how to be patient with all this during these times. So we want to thank you for being patient and cooperative, and we look forward to a healthy meeting. Before we begin, has any persons presented themselves to speak?
Not yet.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Okay, members, before you have a proposed meeting agenda. I will add that also at your desk is a revised fiscal year 2021 budget. Staff noticed an error or something they needed to fix, and this is the revised version, and you'll find that at your desk. Without any further comment, I will ask that we adopt the agenda with the revised budget.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. And I want to thank Glenn and his staff for keeping us going and allowing the changes that are taking place, and also still providing the visual video to our public uninterrupted. So thank you for that.
The team effort.
Thank you. Also, item number 4 is the approval of the minutes, which include our February 13th meeting minutes. If you have had a chance to review it and don't see any errors or any omissions, we'll entertain a motion to adopt those minutes.
So move.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, minutes are approved. Next order of business, we're going to have our public hearing for the budget. And you have your amended budget before you. Glenn?
Yeah, well, we want to go over the budget. Alan Weeks will be joining us just in
Okay.
a second. He's shuttling in.
No
so he'll
worries.
be
Thank
here.
you. Thank you.
There's going to be a little slight delay as we do this, but.
That's okay. That's okay. Thank you, Alan.
Budget now, sir.
Good afternoon, members of the authority. As Chairman Lazar mentioned, there was a revision to the budget, and you have that there. It didn't amend or change anything in the total budget, which is still at $975,000 in revenue and expenditures. The breakdown in Exhibit A does show that our administration costs would be at $25,850, and then the split between the tourism promotion and tourism-related expenditures, $316,352 for the tourism promotion, which is your 1/3 money, and the tourism-related expenditures of $632,798. So those expenditures equal the $975.
Thank you, Alan. Members, are there any questions?
I have a question on since we're into what we're into, has there been any consideration given to the drop-off in what we expect for revenue?
Gail and I were talking about this yesterday, and the financial numbers that we have that we'll present to you later are through March, and we will know April's revenue by the 20th of May. And I think that's when we'll see if there's been an effect in the revenue for a full month of April. You know, everything started transpiring in the middle of March. And I think we want to get to that number and see where we're trending and see if there's anything that we would need to change at that point. But I think we need to have that information to make a well-educated decision on that.
When you all reviewed the numbers up to that point, did everything look like we were comfortable with?
Yes, it did. As a matter of fact, and we'll talk about this later, we're ahead of where we were in FY18 year-to-date through the end of March. We've had a couple of uptick months in January and February and a little dip in March, but the numbers overall show that we're ahead of where we were in FY18,
Okay.
revenue-wise.
So if we approve it, are we going to approve this today, or is this, is that?
That's an option for you to do later in the meeting.
Yeah, it's item number 14.
Okay, so if we were to approve that today and something weird was to happen between now and we would come back and amend it, is that the anticipation? Okay.
Any other questions or comments at all?
All right, and what we can do now is to ask if there's anyone from the public that's been presented there, that they would bring them in so they can
Okay.
make a comment and.
We would ask if there is anyone here to speak on behalf of the budget. We will ask them to come in now.
There being no one, now you may open and close the hearing as it
Yep.
was.
At this time, we will open the public hearing and ask if there's anyone here to speak on behalf of the budget that's presented. There's no one here to speak. We'll close the public session and move on to item number 6.
Absolutely. And for that, we have Pat Walker by phone, and we're going to let her talk to her. This is on
Are
the,
you on with us?
Pat, can you hear us? Hold on, I've got to
Okay.
push this button.
Alan, thank you for that presentation.
All right, she's available now.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, great. Thank you for joining us by phone today. Everyone is here and we're listening, so you have the floor. Thank you, Pat.
Well, I had two things that I wanted to bring up today. One being the fact that all the cancellations, all of our fundraising efforts with the festivals and events going on, they've all been canceled, so obviously this is going to put us behind raising funds to build the visitor center. But as soon as things open up, we are scheduled for several late summer and early fall events. The second thing, we are looking into getting cameras for the gardens, specifically for the Vietnam Memorial. As you know, there are several benches out at the site. One that donated by legacy veterans 10 years ago, and some kind soul 2 weeks ago very nicely sawed off the arm of that. I have no clue how they did it because they're very, very heavy duty. That bench has now been picked up and is being stored until I can find a way to get it fixed. And if we have to replace it, it's about $735. So we're hoping we can replace the arm and keep the rest of the bench intact. And if you cross over to the other side where the second bench is, you can see the hack marks where they tried to take the arm off of that one too. So the vandalism is increasing. I don't know why. But we are definitely to the point where we feel we need to have cameras out there and see if we can't catch some of these people. I know the base was to have security patrol, but due to this coronavirus, that has been cut down to a minimum. And again, people are getting away with this. I don't know what joy they get out of destroying something dedicated to our veterans, but obviously there is someone that does. So if you go out there and you see the benches missing, that is the reason why. And other than that, I have no further update.
I can report that after Pat shared this information with us, we're having some conversations as staff about things that the city may be able to do. And we'll be advancing those as we can see up the chain to see what
Great.
might happen.
Thank you. Pat, thank you so much for bringing all that to our attention, and we're certainly disappointed in that, but we will work towards solutions. So thank you very much for joining us today. Any questions for Pat, anyone?
Thank you.
Hold on, Pat.
Thank you, Mike. I appreciate it.
Hold on just a moment.
Don.
Councilmember Thomas?
If someone was discovered with criminal activity, who would be the prosecuting authority?
The federal government.
It'd be on base. Okay, it would be a base handler. Okay.
Thank you. Any other questions? Pat, thank you so much.
Thank you, Pat.
You're welcome.
Okay, item number 7, we have Deanna with us. She's gonna go through our signage and Sturgeon City project update. Hey, Deanna.
Hi, how's everyone doing this rainy afternoon?
Trying to stay dry.
Yeah, exactly. So this afternoon, I just wanted to give you a brief update on some of the projects that we're working on. And it's been a couple of months since I last talked to this group, and so I wanted to give you an update. The Sturgeon City Boardwalk, you may recall that we had some leftover monies from the construction of the actual Sturgeon City project, the building, and we are in the process of working with Engineering Division to finalize those bid documents. We're hoping to advertise it by the middle of May of this year. And so we should be able to implement almost over half of the identified boardwalk replacement. And so we'll be coordinating that work, the construction, with the Sturgeon City group as well, just to make sure that we're not impeding any of their activities. And then likewise, on the building enhancements, you may recall that we talked about improvements both interior and exterior. I think we've all been impacted by COVID, and as such, some of our projects are lagging because of that. But nonetheless, we have executed a contract with the architect, and he is in the process of reviewing the exterior improvements. We have to do some analysis with stormwater and permitting, and then we'll come together and look at some possible estimates for additional parking parameters, sidewalk connectivity, et cetera. And on the interior side, it's just a little bit of extra design work for additional electrical outlets, and that should be done here the next month or so. On the downtown wayfinding, we talked about, we identified locations, and just as a memory recall that we are actually installing temporary poles. Those should be up within the next week or so. Those temporary poles are on wood bases. We did that for twofold. One is putting the signs in is going to cost us a lot of money, and moving them after the fact is not cost beneficial. So we wanted to put them on wood poles, let everyone have the opportunity to critique and maybe modify where they are. And then once we're happy with those locations, then we will replace those wood poles with metal poles. And so again, those should be up within the next week or so. And lastly is the Welcome Center. You may recall the city council bought the piece of property at the corner of Old Bridge and Marine Boulevard. It was an old gas station. We had sent out a request for qualifications to identify a potential architectural firm to help us work through how to move forward with this particular building. And we have kind of taken a step back, and we have not presented these options to City Council as of yet, but felt that maybe this would be a good opportunity to share with you at least 5 options at a staff level that we've identified. Like many of other individuals, that funding has been an issue for obvious reasons because of COVID. And so we are now looking at 5 possible options in how to move forward with this particular project. And again, this is just for discussion purposes. So the first option would be that we demolish the existing building and we build a new building. And this would be our dream. We want to look at it as what it could, the whole site could be at a full build out capacity. We could look at it from a design purpose. It would be phased construction. So the first phase would obviously be a smaller footprint with the potential for growth of maybe adding a second story and have a canopy, looking at complete site redevelopment. And so the first phase for phase 1 would be just to get us into the new building and new site improvements, and I've estimated that at $725,000. Option 2, the city actually we worked together on an initial welcome center concept on a much smaller section of parcel on the existing Jacksonville landing site. We had gone through the complete design process, we bid it out, and we did bring that option back before the TDA, and I guess this was maybe 2 years ago. It's been quite some time. But option 2 would be to take that that same concept and just basically pick up that footprint and put it on this footprint. So it allow us to maybe make little minor modifications to that building and some additional site enhancements such as parking, landscaping, et cetera. And I've estimated that at about $510,000. This footprint would be smaller than the option 1. Option 3 would be to retrofit the existing building. And so we are at a staff level, with help with some of our architectural friends, we've gone out and we've done analysis of the building. The building structurally, the 4 walls are good. However, it needs a new roof, it needs new roof supports. The bathrooms are not ADA compliant, and so there is a substantial improvement that need to be made for the building itself, just for us to occupy it. So this would be no exterior improvements. We would just be focusing on interior only, but this would allow us to get into the building and at least use it. And I've estimated that cost at about $120,000. Option 4 might not sound like it's the best option, but we just demolish the building. If we demolish the building and then we wait, that when it's maybe more appropriate, or maybe we have some more ideas, we demolish the building, we can add some landscaping elements, close some of the driveways off of Marine Boulevard, and we just construct at a later date. So I've estimated that cost, with most of it being in-house by the City of Jacksonville personnel, at about $20,000. And then the last option is we just wait. I mean, it's not ideal. It is one of the gateways into Jacksonville, but unfortunately, we're unable to occupy the building as is. And so we could just add it as a future capital improvement project. And really, the only cost to us right now is the reoccurring electrical bill. And so these are just 5 options that at a staff level we've identified as how to move forward with this particular project. And I would envision that at a later date, we would be discussing this in more detail with City Council. And so that concludes my update.
Thank you, Deanna. Good presentation. I'll open it up for any comments or.
Is it the anticipation that the tax authority would pay for the construction of the Welcome Center?
Quite honestly, at this point, I don't know. I've been instructed to come up with options of what the future Welcome Center could be. I know there have been discussions about being a joint effort between multiple partnerships, but at this point, at my level, I don't know. And I don't know if Glenn can further speak on that matter.
You have previously allocated funds to the Heroes Welcome Center, and they've not been, we haven't carried them forward with that designation on there, but it's in the record whether you did that. And of course, you can choose to make the designation whatever you desire to do.
I think that, there's several elements of that, but I'll discuss that in a minute.
I was just thinking about the eventuality of the visitor center. I guess will probably generate a need for staffing. I mean, that's kind of thing is down the road, I guess. I remember discussions of volunteers, but I don't know that's a good, dependable, reliable, source of staffing. But I guess that's something that would come much later, because obviously you have to have hours and those kind of things.
There's been some conversation about
Right.
what options might occur, and some of them are political, and some of them, depend on what the atmosphere is to do something at that time. And
I think at one time we were discussing on, it being a center that would be designed in such a way that people can come and get their own information, have outside kiosks, but also be able to be staffed when there's an event locally. They could use it as a registration point to sort of distribute some stuff, or, we've had way different types of conversations on how you could staff it without experiencing expenditures. But in my opinion, it just really depends. You know, the partnership is a great thing. Obviously, I don't personally think the building and its footprint, you know, is really feasible to do what we want to do with it. I think option 4 is a great option where you just tear it down and you clean it up and you sort of wait. And then, you know, if at the right time, we can use the current design and move that into place that we already have, we'd really be in a good position. You know, you're not building a monstrosity and at the same token, it achieves what we're talking about in an elegant footprint. But, I think with the climate as it is today, I think the best option, instead of leaving an eyesore, you know, would be to, you know, have staff demolish it and have that expenditure there and clean it up and wait to the right opportunity to put the right facility there. I mean, that, to me, that makes the most sense.
One thing that is good, you know, it is a clear welcome part to the city. It's clearly
Yeah.
a gateway to the city. And if it was cleared, that property, that piece of land could be used for, we pitch a tent and welcome somebody for a, you know, some sort of
Could host
event
an
or
event, yeah.
activity or something there. It'd be very easy to find.
And I think it would really open it up to where the beautification of it in itself would be, you know, aesthetically pleasing for the community. You know, looking at your numbers, and I'm not a construction expert, but 120,000 to completely retrofit the roof and the bathrooms is a low figure.
Yeah, this would, the retrofit number is bare bones.
That's bare
Just get
bones.
in the building,
So
and
what
that would
would-
be, and that,
Yeah.
and most of that work would be done with facilities maintenance.
Okay.
Yeah, so we
You know,
would, I
what would you
think,
really have at the end of that? Nothing really.
Right.
In terms of a facility. To me, I think you spend the 20, you use staff, you tear it down, you clean it up, and when the climate is right, then we can move forward. But that's just a personal opinion.
Well, I'd like to follow up on Randy's question, and that is, from the beginning of this organization, we have always looked at having a staff person who was paid out of these funds. So I don't know that the staffing, at least initially, would be a major concern. Of course, that's that's a partly a city council question as well, but we had always looked at having a staff person, and down through the years, we've tossed it back and forth as to who would control it, and I mean, there's a lot of other issues involved with it, but I think from a monetary standpoint, this organization could afford a staff person. I might be wrong about that, we'd have to look at the figures, but.
But I think for the decision that you're looking, not a decision, but some input, we need to at least give some input on where we are today, what the best option would be.
Yeah, if I may, Mr. Chairman, the options 3, 4, and 5 seem to be where we're at right now, in my opinion, from an economic point of view. The problem I see, for example, with option 4, demolishing the building, is that place used to be a convenience store and a gas station.
yes, sir.
And it has existing gas pumps, or had old gas pumps that will have to be removed at some point in time. And there has
Actually-
to be some environmental impact
And
studies.
that is a great question. Actually, that was one of the conditions of the sale of the property. So we have, the underground storage tanks have been removed, and we have in essence, a clean bill of health. So there
Okay.
are no environmental concerns that we would need to deal
Right,
with.
and that was a point that I was going to bring up as far as the environmental aspect of it, to make sure that in demolishing the building, that $20,000 was realistic, $20,000 was really realistic. I think it's going to be a little bit more, to tell you the truth, probably double or
Well,
possibly.
just keep in mind that our staff,
Yeah, I know. Ken,
we
yeah.
use our staff, we've done over
Yes.
110 demolitions.
Yes, sir.
And our staff, our maintenance staff, has done all of those and saved the city, I mean, considerable amount of money. because they're able to do it.
Right, but realizing that you have to pay them as well.
Yeah.
So it is an expense, and these items, have to be taken away. I'm just, the figures are, I guess, really what I'm looking at. I just want to make sure that they're somewhat realistic in 3, 4, and 5. Well, obviously 5 is 0. You can't be more realistic than that, but 3 and 4, I just want to make sure that those figures are accurate. And I do agree that you will need 1 or 2 people or persons, not machines, or anything at these sites. When somebody's coming into town, just that down-home welcome type deal, I think that's going to be necessary, something that we need to look at as well. But that's another issue. Right now, I just question the figures, the amounts.
So on option number 3, that was a collaborative effort that we worked with our facilities maintenance, building inspections, our engineering department, et cetera. So that 120 consists of staff going out and getting quotes for either the roof repair or supplies, et cetera. And so we feel pretty confident that is a good sound number, that 120,000. On option number 4 for demolishing buildings, as Mayor Pro Tem stated, is that the city typically uses enforced labor. So we have our own city personnel, our own equipment, and on city time, we'll go and demolish that structure. And so the estimate for that 20,000, that's just tipping fees. And so depending on the materials, if it is just like concrete, that's something that we don't necessarily need to take to the landfill. We can take to a construction and debris yard instead. And so there is some cost savings there. So that 20,000, it is an estimate. I mean, I'm just kind of basing it off of square footage of similar size projects, but I feel pretty confident, but it would be around that dollar figure.
Okay, and the tipping fee, I can understand that, but also the labor cost, there's that to throw in there. And I understand it's on city time, don't get me wrong, but that still costs the taxpayers. And it's a cost that needs to be considered, that's all I'm saying.
Okay.
Along with the 20,000.
Thank you. Thank you. Randy, anything?
Well, when the time comes to really talk seriously about this, demolish, down through the years, we've redesigned a lot of buildings, including the one we're sitting in. Oh, this portion is fairly new. We need a new building. Refitting the old building and taking the headaches that comes with that, but that's a discussion for another day.
Well, Deanna, thank you so much. Great information.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate you.
It is a great location, and those figures.
It really is.
Thank you for the figures, and it at least gives us something to look at and say, well, here's a dollar figure attached to A, B, C, and D. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, now if we will turn to item number 8, we're going to go through some COVID-19 and tourism promotion in relation to that. It'll be on your page 17. Glenn?
That is just one part of it. Teresa Peacham's going to help me with some of this also, and she has really been an extension of staff with Susan Dozer in navigating us through this. And as mentioned, Susan's unable to join us today. She was to do it digitally, but she's down and out at this moment. I cannot say enough about Visit NC and how they have reacted to this with other partners. They have really been a leader in this, but at the same time been extraordinarily collaborative with the North Carolina Rescue and Lodging Association and the Travel Industry Association out there. And they really went and pushed for some action before the legislature and got that approved that we'll speak of here in a moment. But one of the other things Visit NC has done, given some excellent research that's out there, and everyone's available to look at it. It's online. And Teresa sat through the entire thing. I skimmed through it. But, there's some good ideas there. One of them was a presentation from Destination Analyst. And this is from their slides as it was there, asking the question, tell us about your lifestyle priorities in the next 6 months. And they asked them to put it on a scale. Anyway, this is what it came out to say was obviously staying safe from infection was their number one. But look at the next few one on there. It was emotional well-being, finding my happiness, escape from stress, and relaxation, which gives the travel industry some good feelings that people want to travel and move around as it was there. So this is just one indication of it. And this company is doing continued polling and interviews out there to try to see where it is. And you're going to see how some trends have really developed over this time. And after a long part of it, the summary is that people, they want personal safety, and they're going to travel for that, and that travel is ready to fill a secondary need in their life as it was. And there's still a lot of anxiety about travel, but the idea is that it's improving and the outlook is great. This was from another part of the similar study that said, what travelers need to feel normal again? And what they said is that they want to make sure that they have something that's clean and that the stay-at-home effects have been, stay-at-home orders have been lifted, and that where can I get a vaccine? And so you'll also see that there's no new cases. So these are the kind of metrics that regular people might use to decide before they go. They also asked them, what would it make you feel comfortable, or what would you see as the most common business practices that are out there as it was? And this is where you get to see a split between millennials and baby boomers. But this priority order still remains in effect. Certified cleaning, disinfecting protocols, health screenings for employees, passenger health screenings at airports, published cleaning and disinfecting protocols. Tell us how you're going to clean that space. And of course, passenger health screenings on cruises, and it goes on and on and on about that, even how employees should wear personal protection equipment. Now, to the end of that, they were asked, which of these would you want to see as a common business practice? And certified cleaning and disinfecting protocols was the top one out of the bag. Now, this just follows on a story that broke on Tuesday where Hilton is gone into partnership with Lysol, and they're going to get a Lysol certification for cleaning of their facilities. So, Chris, we can't wait to see what that looks like. But that's going to be most interesting to see that, because clearly Lysol is a name all of us know. And then Marriott previously had indicated they have created a global cleanliness council of public health officials and others. So these people are seeing what this research is saying and saying the traveling public's going to want to know what you're doing, and they want to see what is it. This is a slide from STR, which all of our hoteliers know what that is. That keeps up with what you're charging, how your occupancy is, and this is the total U.S. in March, just for the month of March. And that last line, they can tell you about that. That's the revenue decline in the United States in income to hotels. This is it for the state of North Carolina. Slightly less, but still nonetheless painful that's in there at that time. So this one really is an interesting slide, and while it looks like an earthquake has taken place here, is that it shows how people changed bookings throughout the period of this when it even started in China, because this is worldwide. Bookings changed. And that huge spike, which I apologize not being able to see it that well, in there for the yellow, that's just within the United States, in the last couple of days it's out there. That's the 30 to 60 days that they had travel planned for. Their arrivals was to be between 0 and 30 days. You'll notice the next blue line is 30 to 60 days was their planned arrival, and that 60 plus days is the gray line. So all three of those track. Clearly, when on March 13th, all these stay-at-home orders got issued and things like that, a lot of changes were made in bookings, and that's what that huge spike is. But notice that people did not do the same for the 30 to 60 days. It was much more gradual a decline within that period of time as it was by given references. But the big point you want to look at is at the end, because now through April 15th and April 22nd, the trend is up for increasing bookings. People are looking to the end. Where am I going to go? Where am I going to be at? And this hot map that looks like it's bleeding all over is what the key data did, looking at changes in bookings over the last few months with mid-April through the first full week of August. What are bookings looking like for that period of time? And what we want to see is this national firm looked specifically at Topsail Island. And they showed in there that there's bookings under certain periods here close up, they're real red. And to a specific of why June 27th is real bad, I don't know. But you notice it lightens up. And if it follows the trends of Western North Carolina and Northwest and some others there, we have hope that people will go ahead and increase their bookings and doing things in that area. Again, all this is online, should you wish to see it and such there, and you can see it in better detail. The other part was guest bookings through key data that said, when are the arrivals planning? When are they setting to do this? And this was for reservations that were booked between April 19th to April 27th. So that's just Tuesday that this says. Notice that the bookings are really strong for May of this year and out. And notice that May of 21, people who evidently had thought, well, you know, I just don't know if I'm gonna make that, they're at least booking out a year or more ahead of time at this, so they want to travel. And so that's what this is showing at this time. So they also, the idea was to come about how can Visit NC and this group help, particularly organizations like this that are destination marketing organization. That's what we are, the shortcut of things to be held there. And that many of them have no reserves. They live off of what they have. And then they have obviously now significantly lower tax occupancy collections, which you will see ours looks much in the same there. And they know that they've got to do something now. You've got to be out in front of it as it is. And so this pie chart shows how even people feel about seeing advertisements for their home community being given out to others. How is it during that time that you see it? And I will just tell you, the answer is they're extraordinarily evenly split. Some people feel it's inappropriate, and some people feel that makes me feel happy, that there's a future that comes from this, and that I can also be getting out and doing things. So that is the expression on that as it was. Now, the Travel Industries Partners Plan, which as the chairman identified is in your page 17 there for you, is that they actually put together a plan that basically does this. It says we want to make sure that the legislature knows that travel impacts all 100 counties in North Carolina, that there is a need for unified and messaging of hope, and that we want to be sure to help partners, and that they provide small business loans and school calendar action, because there was a lot of talk about extending school all the way up to the 4th of July, and then having an August start for school, and they were not, when this was put together, that was a real fear. The tailored campaign is $500,000 that the state will coordinate. The targeted media campaign will have some of the same effects and will go out much broader. Partner support is us. We'll be able to apply for grants to help amplify the funds that you will spend to go even further and to do it in a unified manner. And then research, let us know what's the best projects to do, what's the best things that we can do. And part of that $20 million was what was actually passed by the NC Senate yesterday as part of that $1.4 billion plan that got passed by the Senate in there. And it includes the package. It also sets August 17th for when school will reopen. The governor has already said the school is going to close down on normal time. So there's no extension of school out till July at this moment toward that end. So all of this requires us to look at some changing strategy. And I've asked Teresa if she will share that with us. And we have a few things to show you too.
Afternoon, everyone. We noticed immediately and took action immediately. If the times were changing and the way they were, we needed to change our strategy as everyone did. Our strategy has always been the three-legged stool, and what we wanted to promote was sports, military heritage, and events, and to some degree the river as well. So we were using advertising, earned media, and social media, and we had an opportunity and continue to push the environmental stories about the new river, and in particular Sturgeon City and the new event center. So that's the event location. And we're getting a little bit of traction on that already. So we are, like a lot of destinations and a lot of businesses, we're all in on social. People are home right now and their social media is through the roof. So what we initially did was to support our small businesses and work together really closely with the county. The county had a lot, we weren't duplicating efforts, we were sharing information. So some of the things that we've done is in our social media, something that a lot of destinations, oh, sorry. As I talk, I always forget. A lot of destinations have presented, and I don't know if you guys are into this, but it's pleasing to the person sitting at home. They can do some virtual tours, they can see beautiful scenery, it makes you think happy thoughts, you think, okay, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. So Kevin put together for us, as your staff, some virtual tours, a couple of virtual tours. And we are going to show you a video of these. I believe the first one is the virtual tour of Lejeune Memorial Gardens. So thank you to Kevin for those.
Great
The
job.
amazing footage there. The river, I was really happy with. It just shows the beauty of our river and a lot of the water activity and recreation that happens on the river. So it really can tell that story. These videos went crazy. The Lejeune Memorial Gardens tour got over 8,500 views. That's pretty strong. The Osprey, the view of the river, got 1,600 views all the way through. So that's really speaks highly of what the work that Kevin did and what we're pushing out. Media stats, did that. So we're continuing to grow our media, our social media followers. And the Facebook we've added several hundred. And in Instagram, we're continuing to grow that. Remember, that is really new to Visit Jacksonville NC. And we're already right at 500 followers, which is all organic, so that's pretty strong. So on the media outreach, and what we will continue to do is we will continue pitching. Oh, one of the things Susan did, I'm sorry, is I want to give her kudos and props for getting Walton's Distillery included in the Parade Online article. They were doing a piece on distilleries that were making hand sanitizer. So some of the media outreach that we're doing is we're building relationships, targeting the next FAM tour. And we're not sure of dates on that. We'll report back on that. It depends when everybody's comfortable. The science and local government success story of Sturgeon City, and just in general, people doing good things and good feelings. The next steps are the virtual tours are, just so you know, they're up on the Visit NC website. And we are creating Zoom backgrounds that people can use in their Zoom meetings. So we labored over our Visit NC buys and wanted to make sure that our partnership there got us the most bang for the buck. And some of it, we know that's going to be in a lottery because a lot of it's going to be desired by a lot of DMOs. So we'll get back with you on that, but we've put a lot of thought and careful consideration into everything that we're doing there. So we're continuing to develop the post-COVID strategy, as everyone is. We're going to follow Visit NC's lead, which is what we should do. The research is coming to us. Consumers are probably not quite ready for the actual invite, but we're showing them good things about our community and just kind of warming them up. And we'll continue to focus on our storytelling to do that. Our reopening strategies will be, again, to follow Visit NC and their lead. And if you don't know, North Carolina is the 6th most visited state in the country. But as of now, we are the 6th highest in job loss as well. So we do have potential for visitors to come here, and Visit NC is going to focus on more in-state travelers than they have in the past, and we will be following suit and doing the same thing. So this is part of Visit NC strategy, is to do tailored campaigns and to be rather than to seem. So basically what they're saying is, you know, what we are communicates far more than what we say or we do. People want to feel good. People are getting back to basics. The tailored campaign that they're doing will be replaced. It is new and novel, and it will be replaced by tried and true, which gives us a great opportunity to follow suit as well in natural scenery. We've got family activities, outdoor recreation. That's what people are looking to do, and we can serve that up and show them that our community is welcoming. So some of the reopening messages we'll probably use is to family and friends. People have got pent-up travel anxiety. They really want to travel. Weddings, and they want the uncrowded outdoors. So we have beaches, we have outdoor recreation, and they just, in general, want room to breathe while they feel good. So we will be inviting our media partners to share.
Now, just
Oh.
as a point
Oh,
to that
pardon me.
end, is that we want to mention, just today, they announced there's 561 new cases in North Carolina. It's the new daily record, was just broke today with announcing the number of cases. So obviously,
Realize that.
when you're talking about, we got to have those declining numbers, you know, they're not there right now.
Yep, but we will be ready on go when the time comes. That's our job, is to be ready when the time comes with our tactics. So what we'll do, we know that reopening, this is standard and nothing new and no surprises. Everybody is going to be looking for new standards for restaurants and hotels. Safety regulations is going to be something that everybody's going to have to be conscious of, including even the outdoor people, the fishing guides, tours, bayonet cruises. So we're considering doing a reopening press conference with Onslow County Tourism when the time is just right, and we'll update you on that. So decisions on events and timing of those events will come soon. You'll see in a couple slides later. Is this you? Yep.
All right, then.
I don't keep up very well.
Thank you, Teresa.
She's got more yet to do on here. We want to talk about the current work we're doing. Memorial Day weekend, we had hoped to make this a big deal before March 13th rolled around on the matter there. We wanted to combine with the observance that the Purple Heart group does. Now, we wanted to have a military event that was out there at the Lejeune Memorial Gardens, gotten approval for that. And then we wanted to have our garden tours out there during this time and start something for Memorial Day. The observance now will be virtual. There's going to limit it to just the people that are putting on the event. We will carry it live. We will stream it. We will make it very, very fun. The military events to be determined. There's a lot of push to want to have it, but then there's the thought that there's a lot of collectors who might not yet be ready to travel. So, how do you figure that out? But we are going to try to do very small group hosted tours of the Lejeune Memorial Gardens out there. As to the Veterans Day tribute, frankly, we've just kind of been myopic on what we have right now and not looking too far to the head, but we will be doing the November event, and it will be good. We have all of our previous partners told us they want to come back and be a part of it as it was there. So now we're going to talk about the Tourism Promotion Fund with Ms. Teresa.
So, speaking of change, as you know, we slid in 2 events right under the radar on the weekend that all the bad news broke and our world changed for the rest of the year. We got St. Patty's in and the Engaged Onslow. These other 4 events have been canceled, obviously, for all the right reasons, as well as I just spoke to the guys from Ali Temple, and they're canceling their charity ball, which is the last weekend of June. It's just a smart thing to do. People got to have to make plans to travel and stay in hotels. So that's canceled as well. But we would like to show you, we'll show you a couple of slides from the St. Patty's Day. They had 613 people registered for this, but due to what happened that week, probably close to a quarter of them did not come and did not race. So they had 25 room nights still. The other event was Engaged Onslow, and that one did happen. They had 49 total brides in attendance, 48 vendors registered, and only 6 canceled that week prior to. They were just a little nervous with all the news hitting. But it was a good event. One of the vendors commented to the staff that put on the event. They were a first-time vendor, and they were impressed with the professionalism of the event, and they would definitely be attending again. Other vendors were pleased with the turnout and noticed more brides were in attendance with more time to plan, and they seemed to have a little bit better budgets than the ones last year. So that was a great event.
Okay, so that's that part of the agenda, and we want now just to go and chat with you just a moment, if you'll allow me, Mr. Chairman, about the proposed spending plan draft.
Okay.
And we'll just hopefully go through this quickly then. To talk about the idea for that, and sorry if we didn't turn on some of y'all's as monitors. If you'll just hit the little button that looks like a power switch on it there, I'm sorry that we didn't get those. You can look at it easier there. Obviously, we borrow from that money that was designated as the pink money for tourism promotion from the past. We haven't drawn down much of it this year, but we do have that available to us to go. We will be spending less in this fund than we have in some others, and the strategic initiatives, partner support, and authority direction are our most, what we will lead and do with you on that matter. For the Tourism Promotion Fund that Teresa helps us with, these are still the 4 categories that we introduced to you all 2 years ago and affected in full this year. And they are production of overnight stays with an obvious result of TDA funding, that if the TDA funding would be withdrawn, these overnight stays would not occur. That's the Grand Prix Series, and we are considering the same amount of money that has been awarded in the past. Incubation continues. There's overnight stays that are produced, and this would be the Alley Temple Charity Balls. They are now having 2 a year. So that's about 250 rooms at least each time. So that did go up 5,000, so we can split some money between the 2 of them that they have because they're in the fall and the spring. So Final Touch Models Fashion Week, this one, we blew the doors off that one. It's another one that if we had a bigger venue, it could do more people. So that's just staying the same as it was. Then large community event that produces overnight stays is Jacksonville's Jamboree because of the athletic events that are connected to it. And then we have also largely community benefit with some overnight stays, largely promotional value, and we have these events there that will all stay at the same amount that we have in the spending plan for the current year. We will just take that forward into the future year. Now, obviously, we will not be spending this year the $10,000 for the Riverwalk Arts Festival and Earth Day at Sturgeon City because they did not occur or will not occur as a result of this. And then, so that adds up to $97,000. We put aside $5,000 just should something come up that we can allocate to that. And then the support and administration of that is $9,500. That is $10,800 less than what we have done before. So the amount in that would be $18,800 less than what we have done before for that fund as it was. And you recall your challenge was for us to get that down, so in a manageable area there. For visitor experience, we had in there as the project total, $325,000. What happens is, as the projects move forward, the money gets allocated from your budget into the city budget to pay for them. This is the amount of money that's been spent so far. Most of it has been for design, and the other part, with directional signage, some of the actual materials are reflected in that, but not all of them because they're still being presented with that. So these are the strategic initiative projects. And we want to do just no changes in these. We want to continue them. They are producing overnight stays. We know that they do that, and we want to continue moving in this direction. These are the type of projects we see that a mature organization looks at more so than funding festivals and events. So for the end of that, we still want to continue with our Art Council development project. We haven't had a full year to deal with that. And that's where we want to continue doing that with the signature income producing project, your Bulldog project and such, and arts-related travel. We feel that that's an area that we really can help benefit with particularly plein air painting and some other activities. And we want to push the Arts Council outside of the gallery. And that's part of what we're working to do on that. And then how we would do this was our partners that we have with Viamark and DK Communications, Susan Dozer, our media and familiarization tours, the website improvements that we're going to be doing, and some meeting space optimization to help push those spaces to be rented as it is. That would be the second year of that. We would continue with the Sports Development Fund. We would just hold off to the side, special events, reserve $5,000 should something come up that you folks want us to adopt or do. Continue $30,000 toward advertising and branding, and $15,000 toward the partnerships that we have with the state and with Coast Host as it was. And that is the proposal for the spending plan. If you want to give us input into that, remember that's separate from the budget. we take the budgets, very empirical and such there, and this becomes our spending plan. You folks give us guidance as to what you want to see spend the money that you administer.
Thank you, Glenn. The only question I have in regards to the spending plan is probably need an update on the reunion project.
Yes. We've had some staff change in that, and
Well, we've had,
obviously,
yeah, so there's been a considerable change, and I'd like to see how we're doing, and, how that partner is doing.
we can work with that for next month.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else regarding the spending plan, proposed spending plan? Okay, thank you very much, Glenn.
Hey,
Teresa, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, I think next order of business is item number 11. We're gonna get an update from Paula, Sturgeon City.
and what we're having is Paula, Salem, and Scott, if you all take a seat in front of the microphones there, and we're just gonna have, this is part of our roulette of staff here.
We are starting to run a little late, so, if you could.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Chairman, and authority members for having me with you today. I will give you guys a brief update of the few things we've been up to during COVID here. So I just threw in a nice picture of the building. It's still there. Things are still going as well as they can, obviously, under the current circumstances. Our staff have been working from home since late March. We plan to continue to do that probably for at least a few more weeks. I'm sure you're familiar, the governor is, still requesting telework even after May 8th for those that can do it. We're lucky that a lot of what we do is, computer-based and things of that nature, and we aren't able to run programs right now, unfortunately, on our site as we're following the school closure and, of course, the number for gatherings. So we're going to continue to work from home for a little while. But we are using this time to do a lot of work on developing our future programs. So we've already got a lot of planning done for next year. So we'll be able to hit the ground running when we do open back up and be able to get those programs going. In terms of the event rentals in our center, of course, everything has pretty much been rescheduled. A few folks had hoped to push later into the summer, fall months. A couple have done that. Many have actually just postponed for a complete year. So we're moving things from 2020 to summer of 2021. Hopefully things will pick back up with that and we'll be able to fill in some gaps, for later into this year as we're able to do that moving forward. We have worked on some virtual programming. So we're doing twice a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays via Zoom. We're doing like short 15 to 20 minute hands-on activities where our staff, Amber and Jamie, are actually putting together those activities with simple things that people usually have at home so they can participate in those to keep people involved and having some educational options. Of course, just last week, we celebrated the 50th anniversary of Earth Day. Which is a pretty neat thing to be able to take part in. It would have been great to have our in-person events, our Friday program for the students and Saturday event that we were hoping to have for the public. Unfortunately, we could not do that this year with the circumstances as they were, but we did post several informational posts during the week. We had some assistance. We were able to link into some footage that tourism had put together, some of the drone footage and some other things of the area and our site, and be able to share those on social media so that we got some good social media traction on what we were doing. And we did have our shorts, as I mentioned, those Zoom programs. We did one on oyster filtration and one was ocean in a bottle. So some interactive things for the kids during that week. And here's just a nice picture of some of the things we would have been able to do with the kids at our Earth Day if we were able to have it. But we're hopeful to be able to get back out there here as we're able to do that. And here are a couple more posts. I was actually able to do a little backyard nature video, and we filmed that in my backyard. My son actually participated as well, trying to encourage folks that since we couldn't be out necessarily enjoying nature together and having our Earth Day event and doing those things, that they could enjoy nature in their own backyard. We also made some posts about encouraging folks to do cleanups. There was a big push at the national and international level to do kind of solo cleanups in honor of Earth Day. So we tacked into some of that. And again, there was some support through tourism, through Visit Jacksonville, posting some of the drone footage of our site and helping to tell our story. We shared our video online during Earth Day week as well with the story and history of Sturgeon City to try to continue to get our message out there. And we are gonna take a look at the video here. And just a couple of the things that we've been doing a little more focused on tourism. Of course, as I mentioned, we're adjusting rentals as needed, working to honor everyone's choices to move their events around. Again, hopefully things may still pick back up for the fall, winter, spring of next year. We are very excited that we recently purchased a mobile planetarium. If you're not familiar, these are basically an inflatable dome, and you actually have a computer and projection system that sits inside. You bring students or adults actually inside to sit on the floor, and they actually view different astronomy shows. You can even show meteorology and earth processes and all different things through the software. So we'll actually be getting trained on that, utilizing that equipment the first week of June, and being able to get ready to have programs with that, again, as we're able to do so with the numbers allowed to gather and things of that nature. But we're excited to be adding that both for a programming perspective and for other future events and things of that nature. And again, we've been trying to stay active on our social media, and we've got some assistance with doing some boosted posts. Some of this has gone up since I put the numbers together, but for just the about approximate month from the end of March, just after Earth Day, we had a reach of over 16,000, almost 17,000 people with our combined videos and Facebook posts. Again, a lot of that being specifically during that Earth Day week with some of those Earth Day posts. And one cool thing that's been happening is a lot of folks are often out enjoying the park and the site. And again, as the city has also worked to encourage people to get outside and still enjoy the parks, to do something outdoors. We have had a lot of folks enjoying our site. Again, we have the informational signage also now along our boardwalks, which folks have been interacting with. And so they've been tagging Sturgeon City, and it's been nice to see them be able to still come out and enjoy that and have a relationship with that, even though we aren't able to run programs for them to participate in. So we've been glad to see that, and it's nice to get to watch the families enjoying themselves and people enjoying themselves out at the site. And that is all I have for you guys.
Good job, Paula. That was a great video. Any questions?
Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you so much for the update.
Very much. You're very welcome.
Scott?
Yes, sir, can we stay here? All right. It's great to see you guys. It's not great to have pants on for the first time in 40 days. So I don't know how to act here. So we waited as long as possible, but we've had to take New River Splash from a physical event to a virtual event. There's just still too many questions out there. We're also seeing a lot of new information with questions about porta potties and transition areas. And, it's just such a huge undertaking to try to put that all together. And then we have 10 people out there. Just not worth it. We had a verbal approval for our bike route with the base, but of course, with the protocol they're under right now, until they change that, they can't give us the official. We hadn't received the approval from DOT on the backup route. So we just had to make that a virtual option, which is a big thing right now in the race world because there's no other options. But that way we can still have our race series continue. They can get points for the race series. We're also making it where it's going to be part of the proceeds will go to CHU, and there'll be an additional, folks want to make additional donations for that. So trying to do something to help out the community there as well. So that's the latest on New River Splash. Unfortunately, I've been in fairly constant contact with Wells Gulledge about ECI. A decision has not been made for the basketball camp yet. It's not looking like it's going to happen, but he'll make that decision around the 15th of May. We're using that same date to make a decision on our Freedom Fight boxing event that's scheduled for July 10th. The thing that you all know now is we need some sporting events to happen to see what the new requirements are. Do you have to be 6 feet apart if you're in the stands? And if so, can you sell enough tickets? And just all those questions. And then, the big part for the TDA with the boxing is obviously that all-marine reunion, because that's where a lot of the room nights and everything comes from. Not all of that crowd is older, but it's skewed older, or they're going to want to travel in July. So we're waiting a couple more weeks to make a decision there. If we do have to, that one will not be canceled. It'll just be moved. And we would probably look at September to do that event. The only other thing that I'll really tell you, I was supposed to attend a facility summit in Kansas City I guess it was last week, week before. Of course, that went to an online version. So there's 7 different webinars. I think I've done 5 of those so far. So I'll be able to share some of that information when the time's appropriate on that as well. But that's really an update from our end. Just having to take everything day by day on upcoming events. Luckily, there's a little bit of a break. You know, the football jamboree, till the state says what's happening with high school football in the fall, who knows about that? So like everybody, we're just kind of in a little bit of a state of limbo right now. But if you have any questions about anything, I'll be happy to answer them.
Scott, thank you.
Thanks.
Any questions? Well, how's it feel to be in pants?
I don't like it. I don't know if you guys are wearing pants or not, because I can't see.
Well, you were fidgeting over there. Normally John Carter doesn't fidget like that. Well, thank you. Salem?
Let me see if I can get to you.
Does your mic need to be on?
Okay.
Yeah, there it is.
Okay. All right. Hi, everyone. Glad to be here. So some of the first news I'll share is we actually had 2 press trips canceled for actually last weekend and this weekend. We've had to postpone them. So one is set for September. The other one we haven't scheduled yet because they were looking at August, and we're kind of waiting to see how it will be during that time because the person coming in will have to fly. But we are planning to reschedule, and both groups are very excited to come up and tour Onslow County and hopefully write about it afterwards. So on some positive news to start off, we have the Our State Paid article that we did on their website. This is kind of what it looks like when you click onto the story. We also have an ad that's running that's beside it. And some of our results are, the page has had 2,200 views with an average of 4 minutes spent on the story. And the story has seven different partners listed. So it includes Bear Island, going shelling, horseback riding, kayaking, and different outdoor activities. And an exciting thing from that, with people being stuck indoors, they've actually said our article has 30 seconds longer viewing time than any article they've had in the past, which is really exciting for us because that means people are taking the time to read, and hopefully they'll come visit us once it is safe to travel again. And that article will be again on their website for a whole year. And then also on our website, we have done a page called COVID-19 Updates, and we've also called it Support Onslow. And on there, we have listing of all restaurants updates, who's offering what, their time changes, if they're offering curbside. We're also doing ways to support business, so people who are offering gift cards or online shopping, we've put links to their pages via our website. We've also included any virtual tours, so Sturgeon City has been putting up some videos. We've included links to those on our website. Also from Jacksonville, their tours that they've been doing, we've been adding those to our website also. One of the other things we have is any business that's offering campaigns or promotions, we're highlighting those, and we're also doing community heroes. So Walton Distillery, who's making hand sanitizer, we've included them. Anyone who's doing special to feed doctors, nurses. I know Crackett Escape Games have been doing masks. So anyone that's doing anything, we're trying to highlight those on our website. And then, let's see. We also created a 30-second video that shows all the great things Onslow County has, and also saying we're waiting for you once it is safe to travel. And we actually have that video to play for y'all today.
Good.
So that video we played on Instagram, on Facebook. It's also on our website, and it's on the Visit and See website. We did boost this video, and we had over 100,000 views for this video, and we had a lot of positive response from the video. Let's see. And then one of the big things that we started pushing out even before we went into the stay-at-home order, we started a social stay-in contest, and it's running for 8 weeks, and we are currently on week 6. So these posts have been averaging about 6,000 people reached with them. We're getting about 50 entries per week, and as you can see, about 800 engagement through these posts. And I'm excited to say that most people are ready to travel again. They're all excited. They love Onslow County. Ones who haven't, we've had people who haven't been to Onslow County and said they're very much looking forward to come visit Onslow County when they have a chance. And then from these, we've actually been, here's some of the results from it. And again, we're seeing some really good sentiment from these videos. And then we're also putting people's responses on our website. So anyone can have a chance to go see what people are saying in regards to the questions that we're asking. So we've asked, what's your favorite restaurant? Where's your favorite place outdoors? Who's your favorite attraction? We've kind of been trying to hit different ones. This week is, what's your favorite season in Onslow County and why? And then we're also giving gift cards that we're purchasing from local businesses to show support for them. And then hopefully have the people who win to come out and visit those areas. And as everyone else has been doing, we have been doing some virtual tours. So I have done some videos from Swansboro, Hammocks Beach State Park, Discovery Gardens, and Hubert Bypass Park. And then I'm also taking videos that other people are doing. Bayonet, Lady Swan, again, Sturgeon City, City of Jacksonville have been doing virtual tours, and we've been trying to show those on our Instagram and Facebook page, and we've been having really great success with these videos. I'm not sure, do we have enough time to watch it, or I can skip through. If y'all want to take a chance to go look at one of the videos, they're on our Facebook page. And again, I have this slide too from Visit NC. I was very grateful. They haven't had a big listing for every single partner in North Carolina, but we did make one of the larger posting with some links to some of our different virtual tours. So I was very excited to see that, and they do link back to the website page that I've been talking about with all the different things you can do with virtual tours from their website. And again, they also have takeout and delivery options. It's kind of hard to see, it was the light blue, but we're listed on there, and it has every restaurant that I've been able to get a hold of to see who's offering curbside and takeout is listed on Visit NC too. And then basically, as Jacksonville's been doing, we've been looking at different things for when it is time to reopen, how we can push out and safely. I know a lot of people are wanting to make sure everyone's using correct safety procedures. I know too, a lot of people want to get back to the beach, but how to safely do that so it's not overcrowding. And that's something that we're looking into. And again, we're trying to support all our partners by sharing on social media any posts that they're doing and onto our website.
Great update, Salem. Thank you. Any questions for Salem? Good work, everyone.
Good work.
You guys are stepping up to bat, that's for sure. So, other than Scott with his long pants. But that's okay. Thank you all, and I think that when things get back to normal, I do believe in the same sentiments that people are ready to get out, people are ready to sort of air out and breathe a little bit, and the best way to do that is to visit the coast, you know? Get on the beach, walk trails, and enjoy the outdoors, and that's something that we have. So hopefully we'll benefit from that. So thank you so much for the updates.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, next order of business is the item number 14, which is the public hearing has taken place on the budget. We've talked about the spending plan. If you wish to give instructions on whether you would like to move forward to adopt the budget, or if you would like to delay the budget for another date of adoption, we can do so at your consideration. So it's your wish.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we adopt the budget as presented.
Have a motion? and I have a second. Do we have any discussion on the budget?
Just a question, Mr. Chairman.
Absolutely.
Glenn, perhaps you can explain it to me. It says adopted by the Jacksonville Tourism Development Authority in regular session, March 26,
Well,
2020.
that was because, well, that'll be changed when you actually adopt it. We were ready for you to adopt this previously, but obviously,
Yeah, I know that was I think our scheduled last meeting last month
Yes.
on Thursday. So I just had that question.
Okay.
No, otherwise I'm fine.
Okay.
The typical lawyer's question.
That's how you keep them employed, man. I mean, come on.
we'll make
Any other
that
questions?
change.
Okay, if no other questions, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. Budget is adopted. Alan, I guess you will take on item 15, appointment of the audit firm of the authority. I'll let you explain that, and we'll make that motion.
Okay, Chairman, if you recall last year, the authority and the city went out to bid for a new auditor, and we signed a contract with Cherry Beckert for a one-year contract with 4 renewable audit years. And we are in the second year, so we're coming to you now to ask for you to approve the audit contract for the second year of that contract that we signed with them last year. The fee that you have there is $4,750. That is in line with what they presented in their bid. And so that's what we are asking you to approve today, the appointment of the audit firm.
Great, thank you so much. We have a motion recommendation.
I'll make the motion to appoint Cherry Beckert as the auditor for the authority consistent with the same terms as Jacksonville City Council.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion on that? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you so much. Alan, I'm assuming you'll take the next as well? Tax collections?
Sir, you can see in our chart here is a comparison between FY19 and FY20, and they're showing the collections by month. Previously, I mentioned how January and February kind of was an uptick, and then we have a little bit of a decrease in March. So that's where we're, looking to maybe look at the April revenue to see maybe what the trend is showing for us there. But as you see, FY20 year-to-date is far above FY18, so we're really doing well at $876,000 in collections year-to-date through March.
So in layman's term, we work really hard and now we've got to give it back.
Yes.
Okay.
I will let Glenn talk about this one because this is a little more detail here with the
Obviously,
different
we look at
areas.
our sectors that we have the hotels divided in, and you can see all of them are down. Online is a bit up, but that was a very close number there, and some of it has to do with the way the reporting is done in that regard there. I think it's interesting to note that McDaniel Drive is showing some strength. While it's down 30%, it is still being out there as it was, so that's interesting.
Well, the question I have in regards to that, and I guess it's for you guys, with all the construction that was scheduled on base, has that been delayed? Are you guys still seeing contractors still fulfilling that mission? Because I know that's an essential personnel. So do you see a decline in that, or do you see postponement of any of that?
We still have the contractors we had that had
I
long-term,
see.
but I don't believe that any new contracts or permits are being allowed for, to get on base. So that's curtail business that we've had talked to that would be here, at least on our side.
Anything new come forward?
Ours is just consistent business that we had.
Stuff that was ongoing that's scheduled for completion?
So if I may follow up on that,
Please.
Mike. Mr. Chairman, so basically, I guess it's those contractors that have probably already entered contracts previously, like last year, or maybe they're still on the same type contract, so you really haven't seen a decline.
No, I can't say that.
Well, you haven't seen an increase. So would it be fair to say that it's sort of status quo, or?
No, I mean, you're not getting your transitional leisure
Events
business,
and-
that kind
Right.
of business.
Right.
Our contractor, we're a different type because we're an extended stay, so some of ours, they're not going back home, do the, travel yeah. But, definitely nowhere near where we would normally do
should
this
be.
time, yeah.
I think that does play, it kind of depends on what, if it was a contract that was ongoing and what phase of that are they in? Some of that couldn't be put aside. You're certainly not seeing the new business come in, but interestingly enough, like with the data you showed nationally in May, for 21, a lot of that's, wedding and reunion group. Rather than push it back later in the year, they pushed it back to the,
A year. And toward the end of the construction contract support the base, remember there were a number of them that were pretty much ready to go, designs go, but a substantive amount of them are design and build. So there's a lot of lead-up time to that as it was, and Ron Massey's our subject matter expert on that, and as I understand it, there's several of them out there that are still just hanging. They haven't
Well, and that's
moved.
my point, because just looking into the future, for our community, we have the benefit of those ongoing projects. They're not canceled projects.
No.
That funding has been issued or has been allocated, and therefore those projects are still gonna move forward as soon as the time permits, which hopefully will give us some recovery efforts as that starts to proceed forward, coming into the months that are coming ahead. So with the sustainment, now obviously you've lost a significant amount of, like what you're talking about, travelers and events, sporting events and that sort of thing, but at least there's some optimism that
Yep.
the heads on beds will still hopefully come through as part of our community and the efforts that are going on the base with reconstruction.
New people can get base passes, that it'll come back fairly
It'll
quick,
come back
once
up.
we are able to reopen.
Okay, proposed dates for 2021, that is on your back page. I'm assuming our next meeting. Next month. For next month, so everything is on schedule as presented here, and I'm assuming we'll continue to keep going on that. Glenn?
Right, but what we're asking for now, since we print calendars and do things at fiscal year time, if you would consider adopting the proposed dates for
That works.
2021. And as you can see, they mirror just the exact times that we've
Same
got
dates
on
and
the others.
times.
It's,
Okay. Can I entertain a motion to adopt the schedule, please?
So move.
Have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. And census moment?
on this as it will be. Obviously, we're still trying to get people to fill out their forms that have gotten them and they're at home and they've tossed them over to the side, or like some people that we know thought it was junk mail or whatever. We have some response out there. The national response is 54%, the state's at 49%. Onslow County is at 44.5. Compare that to Pitt, is 47, so we're not far off. But Jacksonville is at 49.8, and of course, 45.2, and we're seeing Greenville's at 45.4 in there. You'll also notice some of the other municipalities, it's pretty bad, but Swansboro is above the 50% mark. The big thing is to tell people, yes, the census is still on, and it's very important. It affects how healthcare money is distributed, among other things, so this ought to give some heightened awareness to that. Because of the virus, they have actually changed the schedule. They're going to resume their operations June 1st. October 31st will be the new date that everything will be due. We will not get the count to the president as normally done on the last day of the census year, and now it's not going to be until April 30th. And of course, for locals, we won't get that number of apportionment until now coming in July 31st, which we hope won't have any impact on delaying the municipal elections that depend on that action.
And honestly, it's the easiest census that I've ever filled out. I mean, it literally takes 5 minutes. Is it 8 questions or something like that?
It's very small.
Very
number.
short, very easy. You can go online. It takes literally no time at all, and it helps us so much. So we encourage anyone that's viewing today to please take time to log in and complete that census survey. It's very important to your community. Any,
Pass over to one city for this time to give you all
okay,
more time.
do any director's comments?
No, the only thing I can tell you about census is my wife filled it out for me.
I said thank you.
All right. That's the best.
Anyone else?
No. It's
Again,
almost
thank
a-
you, Glenn and staff, for allowing us to continue to meet and.
Particularly thank John and Rose
Well,
for being part of
John,
the roulette
absolutely.
crowd.
John, you've changed. There's someone else in your seat.
Is he wearing shorts?
Yeah, I was gonna
I've got
say, is he
you
wearing
shorts.
pants?
Thank you again. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.